Cedric Fries, the great architect who, together with John Littlewood, the pioneer of theatre, of street theatre, famously said, technology is the answer, but what is the question? And I think that is where artists come in. Artists come with these questions, and that's when it becomes relevant.
The relationship between art and technology has wavered between tension and collaboration. Traditional fine art fans have had a wariness to the use and abuse of new technology, and techies have been resistant to the pure creative influence of art. But with society dealing with pressures like identity and privacy, our lives have become entwined with technology, and this has become fascinating to artists and technologists alike.
If something is relevant to the world, it will make its way into art.
In this series, we explore the art, artists, and institutions that give a platform to work that sits at the intersection of art and technology.
When we started, we were focused on the question of how artists can play a role in shaping what that technology might be.
And investigate the questions that matter not just to artists, but to us all. In this episode, we kickstart the conversation, exploring exhibitions that use the technology of the future, as well as technology rooted in an obsolete, pre-internet past.
All the wheels are brown, and the sky is grey.
Meeting a wide range of artists and experts, we visit 3 unique art shows on both sides of the Atlantic. Getting intimate access to the spaces, we meet Anna Holsgrove, curator at the Barbican Centre, to talk artificial intelligence. Zachary Kaplan, director at Rhizome, delves into net art at the new museum. And Hans-Ulrich Obrist discusses Hito Stell's mixed reality at the Serpentine Galleries. Throughout history, society's view of what is considered art has always been a very human-centric perspective. Artificial intelligence has become one of society's most concerning yet unexplored revolutions. But how does AI impact art? The Barbican Centre has built a reputation for exploring important emerging subjects in great detail. And their latest blockbuster exhibition explores this very topic through art of all kinds.
The Barbican traditionally shows work that crosses disciplines. It shows artists, scientists, researchers, and this exhibition's really brought all of that together. I've worked at the Barbican for just over a year now. I came to work on the AI More Than Human exhibition. The Barbican, it's a building that I've always admired for how brave it's been in its experimental approach, in terms of the architecture and its original design, and also in terms of its programming. It feels like it's always pushing the boundaries and is always at the forefront of what's happening next. AI is a key marker of the zeitgeist. So this exhibition has been the perfect opportunity to marry the work of artists and scientists, musicians. It's a really broad survey of AI from the beginning of time to the present day.
Anna Ridler is an artist that uses data and cutting-edge tech to reveal the nature that sits behind the machines. With her work Myriad at the heart of the show, Anna Holsgrove sat down with her to discuss AI in more detail.
Anna, I'd like to talk a bit more about your views on AI in general, and if you think AI is something that can have social change.
I think AI will definitely have social change. There's no two ways about it. But I think one of the things that's interesting at the moment is we don't know whether that social change is going to be for good or for bad. Because I think in not that much more time, it will just become so seamless and so smooth and so part of our everyday lives that we'll forget it's there.
AI is really at the forefront of everyone's minds, whether we're aware of it or not, to the extent to which we're all complicit in our daily lives with AI. So this exhibition is really asking questions. It's asking people, are they aware of their involvement in AI? Are they happy with the information that they're giving over? And really just causing people to question this revolution that's taking place around them.
As an artist working increasingly with artificial intelligence and machine learning in my projects, the ethical issues that it raises, but also the creative questions, extremely fascinating. Suddenly issues around ownership or creativity are actually brought into play. We can develop the software that produces an artwork. What is our relationship to the system? And I think it raises really fascinating, even legal questions, IP questions around who is responsible for creativity.
You've mentioned in the past that maybe there's a surprising result or that AI has produced something that's not what you expected, so you're kind of working as a collaborator with the AI's output.
It absolutely pushes me. I'm not quite sure still where I feel about being like a collaborator with the AI, because I do feel that ultimately the piece starts and ends with me, so I don't necessarily feel it as a collaborator, but I do feel that it does push me in ways that I never would have been able to do before. I always find working with AI and machine learning to be a very human endeavour. Kind of not separating it out from ourselves is really important, to kind of remember that it's, you know, reflecting the world back at us, but it is a world that we've created.
Where artists battle to control their autonomy from the algorithms, internet art, known most commonly as net art, has had to fight for its existence in a world of lightning speed technological developments. Residing at the new museum in the heart of Manhattan, New York, Rhizome is at the forefront of preserving and restoring art built for or about the internet.
Net art is really exciting to me because it's about someone viewing something, someone interacting with something, something being transmitted, but that's also where the most risk is. Artists and friends who were creating work online, Rhizome was really the only place that they could find a home for this type of practice, which felt really vibrant, felt like the exciting conversation to be participating in. We think a lot about how the internet has changed art, and so we've evolved to meet the web as it's evolved, supporting nascent practices at a really seed level that allow us to kind of capture changes as they're happening.
Zachary sat down with celebrated digital artist Tabor Robak to explore how the internet has impacted artists and their work, and what Rhizome is doing to protect it.
One of the motivating kind of questions that we've had for this series is, how has the internet changed art?
I'd say it's changed it in a multitude of ways. One is the community that it's brought to online digital artwork, which has been extremely motivating to be able to naturally find people who are interested in the work, want to engage with it. It's something that the internet has done to all industries. The ability to put yourself on, no matter who you are, has been huge. You know, anybody can find an audience for whatever they're doing online, and you can't understate how motivating that is for the individual.
I think your response is really interesting because community is definitely one element. There's some kind of reflexive discourse that takes place that both informs, circulates, recontextualizes, and then redistributes all creation online. I think Rhizome's always been really good at trying to respond to new modes of artistic production with museum quality attention, but in a way that makes it accessible to the wide world of weird people who constitute net artists.
You know, one thing I've noticed is that a lot of things that I was once experiencing to be niche aesthetics, niche formats, have become much more broadly shared, much more familiar to a wider audience. At one point, I feel like some of the work I was creating was surprising or misunderstood or extremely personal. And it's just been really interesting to see other people experiencing it more the way I do. You know, the first thing to know is that just like taking inspiration from the blue sky, I can't help but take inspiration from the virtual blue sky.
In the heart of Kensington Gardens, London, the Serpentine Gallery has supported a succession of shows, projects and commissions that are provocative and experimental. This has been spearheaded by celebrated curator and art heavyweight Hans-Ulrich Obrist.
It's a very exciting moment at the Serpentine because we decided to put technology and science center stage to really explore the relationship between art and technology. We are Kunsthalle as an exhibition venue without a collection, foremost known for producing and for making exhibitions, but it became important with the new experiments in art and technology also to do apps, to do digital commissions.
Sitting at the heart of Hito Stöhl's exhibition at the Serpentine, lead curator Amira Gad and chief technology officer Ben Vickers explore how new innovations are disrupting the gallery and altering the audience's experience.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to the future, Ben. The work that you do with the Serpentine is quite far-reaching, and it's a wide web of different elements that you're putting together.
So I think the reason for that kind of far-reaching nature is that we've seen technology have an increasing impact on our lives, and it's something that affects all aspects of what we do, which brings a kind of radically different perspective to that of producing artificial intelligence as some kind of product or something that's shaped inside a company. It brings a very different filter and a different set of audiences and an entirely different way of thinking about that. One of the interesting phenomena of, say, social media is the fact that many people won't differentiate between what they see on Instagram and what they see in a physical space. There's a kind of assumption that we need to produce in a certain way.
I think this is an interesting point, but I'm going to play devil's advocate with you and assume that the institution is also the platform for these works. Everyone has seen beautiful images on Instagram, but at the same time, don't you want to go there and do that yourself and take your own picture? And I think sometimes there is also this desire of being involved.
And I totally agree with that. And I think that that's like also one of the interesting effects of technology. The kind of most significant augmentation of a physical space is actually to create moments where people can take Instagram pictures.
Insta-friendly.
Yeah, and so there is a great necessity in this moment to rethink what an arts institution can do and how it can play a role in shaping what those technologies can become.
One of the questions we ask ourselves every day here at the Serpentine is, how does technology allow more accessibility to art? Exhibitions have to be extraordinary experiences, and that has often to do with an experience you haven't made before. And so an exhibition is about a common experience for someone else, with someone else. So we don't want to be isolated. This is why it's interesting that now the 21st century is about mixed reality.
From the individual to the communal, art so often deals with the present. But when artists use emerging or experimental technologies, the work can't help but make us think of the future. But will this future be one we recognize? Or will we just adapt as we've always done?